She swore her male best friend was like a brother to her, until I came home early and found them cuddling on our couch. I just smiled, snapped a photo, and said, "Say cheese." The divorce lawyer will love this. I'm Mike, 35, married to Sarah for 8 years. We live in Naperville, a suburb of Chicago. Sarah and Jake were on the couch, under a blanket. She was nestled against him, his arm around her. They looked up, shocked. For a moment, none of us spoke. Then I took out my phone, snapped a photo, and said, "Say cheese." The divorce lawyer will love this. I turned and left, leaving them scrambling. I drove around, trying to process. Had this been happening all along? Were there signs I missed? I felt like a fool. When I returned that evening, Sarah was waiting, tears streaming. "Mike, it's not what you think," she said. "Really?" "Because it looked like you were pretty comfortable," I replied. She insisted nothing physical had happened, that they were just watching a movie and got too comfortable. She swore it was innocent, but I couldn't shake the image. Over the next few days, we argued. Sarah begged for forgiveness, promising to cut ties with Jake and go to counseling. I wanted to believe her, but the trust was shattered. I contacted a divorce lawyer to understand my options. Illinois is a no-fault divorce state, so I didn't need to prove infidelity. But that photo felt like evidence, even if it didn't show them in a compromising position. Friends and family had mixed reactions. Some urged me to work things out, citing our years together. Others said I'd be a fool to stay, that emotional affairs can be as damaging as physical ones. I decided to confront Jake directly. We met at a local coffee shop. He looked rough, unshaven, bags under his eyes. "Mike, I'm so sorry," he started. "I never meant for any of this to happen." "Did anything happen?" I asked. He hesitated. "No, nothing physical. But I realize now that our closeness was inappropriate. I crossed a line, and I'm sorry." His words felt hollow. Whether or not they had crossed a physical line, the emotional betrayal cut deep. Wikipedia, I decided to file for divorce. The trust was gone, and I couldn't envision a future where I wasn't constantly questioning Sarah's actions. Looking back, I wonder if I overreacted. Maybe they were just friends who got too comfortable. But in a marriage, trust is everything. And once it's broken, it's nearly impossible to repair. Now, a year later, I'm focusing on rebuilding my life. I've started dating again, cautiously. The experience has left me wary, but I'm hopeful that with time, I'll find someone I can trust wholeheartedly. I thought that filing for divorce would be the end of it. Clean break, move on, start over. But life rarely works out that simple. About 2 weeks after I served Sarah the divorce papers, I started getting texts from an unknown number. At first, it was just 1 or 2 vague messages like, "You don't know the whole story," or "She's not the one you should blame." I blocked the number, thinking maybe it was a friend of Sarah's trying to defend her. Then the call started. Private numbers. Heavy breathing. Silence. Click. It happened at night, usually between 11 p.m. and 2 a.m. I'd answer, and no one would talk. Just breathing, then hang up. The first few nights I brushed it off. But when it became a pattern, I got this cold feeling in my gut. Then one night, I finally said something. "I don't care who you are. If you call me again, I'm calling the cops." There was silence. Then a man's voice, low and flat. "You think this is over?" Click. The next day, I installed security cameras around my house. Called the phone company. Started documenting everything. Something wasn't right. I went to Sarah's place to talk. She looked worse than before, sunken eyes, pale face, like she hadn't slept in days. "Have you been getting weird messages?" I asked. She didn't say anything at first. Then, "Jake's been acting different." Define different. "He came over last week. Uninvited. Just walked in. He said he wanted to talk, but then he got mad. Said I used him. Said I ruined his life." That's when it clicked. I'd assumed the worst of Sarah. But maybe I hadn't thought enough about Jake's side of this. Maybe what I saw on the couch wasn't mutual. Maybe Jake had feelings for her, real ones, and she either didn't see it or didn't want to admit it. And when I walked in, it forced everything to the surface. And maybe Jake didn't handle it well. Later that week, my car got keyed while parked outside my office. Deep scratches, all along the driver's side. My gut told me it wasn't random. But there were no cameras, no witnesses. Just another thing added to the pile. I started digging into Jake. Looked him up online, checked public records. Found out he'd lost his job 2 months before I caught them on the couch. That same week, he moved out of his apartment. He was crashing on his brother's couch. No income, no home, and now, no more brother-sister friendship. I started wondering if Jake had more going on, maybe something darker. I didn't know the full extent of what Sarah might have told him, or promised. One night, I was at the grocery store and saw him. Jake, just standing near the exit. He didn't have a card or groceries. Just standing there, staring straight at me. He didn't say anything. Didn't move. I walked right past him and left. 2 hours later, I got a photo sent to my phone. It was my house, taken from the sidewalk. At night. Lights off. No message. Just a photo. The next morning I filed a police report. I don't know what Jake wants, but it's not just about Sarah anymore. Something snapped in him, and I'm starting to think this is only the beginning. I thought the worst day of my life was catching my wife in another man's arms. Now, I'm not so sure. Wanting to keep building from here. We can dig deeper into Jake's obsession, maybe some hidden past, or introduce a twist where Sarah isn't as innocent as she seems. A week after filing the police report, things got quiet. No calls. No messages. No random Jake sightings. Just silence. Too quiet. I started letting my guard down. Then one morning, I was sitting in my kitchen having coffee when I heard a knock. Not the doorbell. Just 3 slow, solid knocks on the front door. I checked the peephole. No one. When I opened it, there was a yellow envelope on the mat. No name. No return address. Just my address handwritten on the front. Inside were 8 printed photos. Every single one was of Sarah and me. Old ones. Vacations. Birthdays. Us laughing. Holding hands. Smiling. But every picture had been slashed down the middle with something sharp, like a knife. In one, my face was burned out with a cigarette. Another had red ink all over it. Circled words like liar and fake. I don't scare easy, but my hands shook holding those photos. I went straight to the cops. They took it more seriously this time. Opened a formal investigation. They questioned Jake, but he denied everything. Said he'd been out of town. Had an alibi. There was nothing that could hold him on. That night, I called Sarah. She didn't pick up. I drove to her place. When she answered the door, she looked panicked. She pulled me inside and locked the door behind her. There's something I didn't tell you, she said. Turns out, months before everything blew up, Jake had confessed to her that he had feelings. Real ones. Said he'd always loved her. That she was his. She told him she didn't feel the same way. That she loved me. That they were just friends. She thought he understood. But she also admitted that maybe she didn't push him away hard enough. That maybe, part of her liked the attention. The familiarity. The way he made her feel wanted when things between us got stale. She didn't cheat. At least, that's what she still claimed. But she let something grow that never should have. Then she dropped the real bomb. Jake said he'd never let us be happy. He said if he couldn't have me, no one could. My blood went cold. He sent me something too, she whispered. She opened her drawer and pulled out a box. Inside was a flash drive. On it was a video, taken from a distance, probably with a phone camera through a window. It showed Sarah sleeping. Alone. In her bed. Lights off. But you could hear breathing. Loud. Close to the mic. Then whispering. You look so peaceful. So perfect. It lasted 30 seconds. I took the flash drive straight to the police. They finally issued a restraining order. Sarah was shaken. I offered to help her get a hotel or stay with a friend. She surprised me. Can I stay at your place? It caught me off guard. We were divorcing. She'd broken my heart. But the fear in her eyes was real. And despite everything, I wasn't going to leave her alone. She moved in the next day. Just for safety. That's what I told myself. At first, things were tense. We barely talked. Ate separately. Slept in different rooms. But the longer she stayed, the more things started to shift. She cooked dinner again. Laughed at something I said. I caught her looking at me like she used to. And that scared me more than Jake ever could. Because I realized something I didn't want to admit. I still loved her. But then, another twist. I got a call from the detective on the case. He sounded serious. We pulled security footage from the night those pictures were left at your house, he said. It wasn't Jake. I felt the floor shift under me. What do you mean? It was a woman. I stood there, stunned. Only 2 women knew that much about me, Sarah and her sister, Leah. And I hadn't spoken to Leah in over a year. But suddenly, I remembered something Sarah had said casually weeks ago. Leah always hated Jake. Thought he was weird. That's when another memory hit me. A dinner party a year ago. Leah cornering me in the kitchen after a few glasses of wine. Saying Jake wasn't right. That Sarah was too close to him. That if I didn't do something, I'd regret it. What if she wasn't just warning me? What if Leah took matters into her own hands? What if Jake wasn't the real threat after all? Want me to go even deeper into this new twist with Leah? Maybe unravel a hidden motive or secret between the sisters? I couldn't stop thinking about Leah. The detective said it was a woman who left the photos. And Leah had motive, protection, jealousy, maybe even obsession. She was always the quiet one between the 2 sisters, but sometimes the quiet ones are the ones to watch. I didn't tell Sarah yet. I needed confirmation. I invited Leah to meet me at a small diner in town. She agreed quickly, almost too quickly. When she showed up, she was cheerful, like nothing was wrong. I played it cool. Did you hear about the stuff happening with Jake? I asked casually. She sipped her coffee and nodded slowly. Sarah told me a little. Creepy. Did you ever talk to him? After all this started? She paused, smiled tight. No. Why would I? I pulled out my phone. Hit play. The detective had sent me the security footage. It wasn't crystal clear, but the frame clearly showed a woman in a hoodie, walking up to my porch. The way she moved, the way she held herself, it wasn't hard to recognize. Leah's smile dropped. You don't know what you're doing, she whispered. I leaned in. Then tell me. Because right now it looks like you've been stalking your own sister. Her hand shook as she set her cup down. She didn't deny it. She doesn't see it. None of you do, Leah hissed. Jake was dangerous. He always was. Since we were kids. But Sarah wouldn't listen. She let him hang around, laugh with her, touch her. She thought she was in control. She wasn't. I stared at her. So you followed them? Threatened him? I protected her, she said, voice rising. I was the only one who ever did. I left the diner in a daze. Leah wasn't trying to hurt Sarah. In her mind, she was saving her. But the way she went about it, Sneaking around, terrifying people, crossing lines, it was unhinged. And now I was part of the mess too. I told the detective everything. They questioned Leah. She admitted to leaving the photos and sending the flash drive, but swore she never meant harm, just wanted to scare Jake away. The cops issued a warning, kept it off her record, but she was told to stay away from both me and Sarah. I finally told Sarah what happened. She was stunned, hurt. She hadn't spoken to Leah since the fallout. The betrayal hit her hard, her own sister going behind her back, causing chaos, pretending to be a protector while feeding paranoia. And then came the final storm. Jake showed up again. It was a Saturday afternoon. Sarah and I were packing her things. She decided she needed her own space. Something independent. We were talking, laughing even, when the door flew open. Jake stood there, eyes wild, face thin, clothes rumpled. You lied to me, he said, staring at Sarah. You said he was done. You said you were leaving him. Sarah froze. Jake, I never said that. I said I needed space. I never promised anything. His gaze snapped to me. You took her back. After everything. After we what, Jake? I cut him off. What did you and Sarah do? He blinked, looked at her, then back at me. She told me she loved me, he said quietly. She said it when you were on that trip. Sarah's eyes filled with tears. I didn't mean it. I was confused. You were there, Mike was gone, and I didn't know what I wanted. But I never wanted you like that, Jake. I was scared and you took advantage of that. Jake stepped forward, fists clenched. You don't get to say that now. You don't get to paint me as the villain when you led me on. I stood between them. You need to leave. Now, I said. He stared at me for a long time, then laughed, short, bitter. You two deserve each other. He walked out, and that was the last time I saw him. The fallout was ugly. Sarah and I didn't talk for days. We were both numb, angry, embarrassed. Everything that had happened, the photo, the emotional cheating, Leah, Jake, it all left a massive hole. Eventually, we sat down and had a real conversation. No yelling, no crying, just honest talk. She apologized again, but this time it felt different. Sincere, deep. She admitted she crossed lines, that she let emotions grow where they shouldn't have, that she felt lost in our marriage and leaned on Jake instead of dealing with it head on. And I admitted I hadn't always been present, that I got too comfortable, too focused on work. We both messed up, but the truth was too much damage had been done. She moved into a small apartment downtown. We kept things civil, friendly, even, but we didn't get back together. Leah tried to reach out, but Sarah ignored her. That bridge was burned, maybe for good. Jake disappeared. His brother told Sarah he moved out of state, no forwarding address. As for me, I felt broken, but also free. I learned that love isn't just about trust, it's about paying attention, being present, listening before the silence gets filled by someone else. I wasn't blameless in what happened, but I also wasn't going to carry all the guilt. I still see Sarah sometimes. We talk. We laugh. We're not enemies, but we're not what we were. And maybe that's okay. We never got back together. We both needed to heal in our own ways. Sarah focused on therapy and rebuilding her relationship with herself. I started hiking again, took a job that let me work less, met new people, found peace. The love we had turned into something else. A memory, a warning, a lesson. I'm not angry anymore. I'm just done.
الغنوة اللي جاية دي حضراتكم هقولوها معايا يعني انتوا رغبتكم بس انتوا اول ما هتسمعوها هتعرفوا انما انا عايز اقول لكم هي كلمات مين هي كلمات الدكتور مدحت العدل والحان خالد حماد وتوزيعه برضه هنغنيها اول ما تسمعوا الدخول هتغنوا معانا على طول